So Belinda, I think we were cut the video stopped for a little while.
Yeah, we're no longer connected.
Yeah, the connection dropped for some reason, or the streaming. So hopefully people are back on and getting back on. Huh. Okay, we had 37, 38 before. Now we've got 8 people. Thank you for coming back. And we'll just wait a few seconds, and then we'll get going with the questions. Okay, people are back on. I didn't touch anything. I didn't do anything. Didn't press anything. It just stopped. Back up to 18. As we speak, video is back on. Everyone refresh your page. Yes, thank you, Lauren. Better now, not a while. I think it was iffy, so it's back up and good. So as we're doing this, I can hear Belinda in the background. She's typing away her answers, but she'll be live. So as I said, we'll be going through the questions and the answers. If there's anything, if you want a little more details, a little more in depth or whatever, just go through, put those comments in the comment section right next to the screen, and we'll try to address that. So we've got about 25 people, and then I guess it will go up a little bit. But let's start with, as I said, we've got Belinda Bryce on the line. She's here with us because she's the principal, the one in charge of our program with Magnes, the broker, and she manages the VIP program with COPA, so she knows all about the COPA program, which she's been with us for many years. So Belinda, being on the line, do you want to just introduce yourself? Take a minute of your time and introduce yourself. And I'll just say it again one more time to the people on the line. We'll be going through the insurance questions for probably an hour. If it's less, it's less. But if it's an hour, fine, we'll do that. We'll try and keep it within an hour with Belinda, not to take too much of her time. And then I may take an extra 15 or 20 minutes to go through the other questions I have and we've received over the last week. So, Belinda, if you just want to introduce yourself quickly, and then we'll go to the questions.
Hi there. This is Belinda. I hope you can hear me okay. Belinda Bryce. I'm head up the aviation division at the Magnes Group, and we are proud to be the COPA-endorsed sponsor for the insurance program. But we also represent all the aviation insurance companies in Canada, so I'm pretty up to speed with what's going on right now in general and specifically with respect to COVID. So I'm happy to field your questions. Hopefully I'll be able to answer most of them, and if I can't, I certainly will get back to you as soon as possible.
Good. Thank you. And too bad there's no one can say anything. I think they're just all applauding. Okay.
Okay, great. So should I just start in on the questions sent me ahead of time?
Yeah, but I'll read it, and I'll just say that, and then let's go ahead after that, unless you want to read them. But I'll start with the first one. And the first one is, given that I'm not flying my plane during the lockdown, can I change my coverage to not in motion to save money? And that comes from David Farish in London, Ontario. And I'm sure there are a bunch of questions similar to that. Well, not this evening, but we did receive quite a few of those. So Belinda.
Great. Thank you, David. And great question. And obviously we've been asked this question a lot as well. So the simple answer is no. Companies are not doing automatic activity-based refunds that I'm aware of. Some companies, including the COPA program, have a built-in layup clause. So certainly call us and let us know that you're laying up your airplane for a period of time. There is a minimum and a maximum, but there can be some refund towards your next year's renewal. But why are companies not doing these refunds? When the underwriters rate premium, they don't look at how many hours you fly. So the price could be the same for someone who flies 25 hours to somebody with 500 hours. So there's no additional premium for the number of hours or fewer hours. So this is the reason why that you can't expect a credit midterm. But certainly if your policy is coming up for renewal, this might be an opportunity to start your coverage on ground only would be a recommendation. So it's unusual times, and I recommend that you call your broker and see what options exist for you.
And Belinda, this layup clause is something that's specific to the VIP program, and I've rarely seen this. I don't even think it exists elsewhere. Could you just give a little more info on that?
Yeah, so it's something that you need to call and let us know. You tell us that you're laying up your airplane for an extended period of time. And as long as it's not accident related, we will note the file. And then when you're ready to fly, you call us back, and we work out a credit. There's a mathematical equation, and I'm sorry I don't have that handy, but certainly I can send that out if anyone's interested. And it's prorated based on the amount of days that it was laid up. There is a minimum, as I said, that it has to be laid up, and then that credit will go towards your renewal premium and be credited off whatever next year's renewal is. It's been really good for a lot of our members. They enjoy it, take advantage of it, especially float plane.
Yep.
The past.
I've used it for my float plane a few years ago, and it was, wow, I think I got a $1,000 credit that year at some point, because I was not, my float plane was on floats for the winter, and I didn't fly it, so it was really interesting. And it's something that it's a benefit for dealing with the COPA program. So thank you, Belinda. Want to read the other question, Belinda?
Sure. The next two questions are actually quite similar. Mm-hmm. I'll read the first one. In 2000, it's from a gentleman named Randall Klippenstein from Regina, Saskatchewan. And he says in 2016, his insurance policy cost $1,258. In 2017, there was a 10% increase to $1,388. In 2019, our policy was $1,450. 2020, there was an 11% increase to $1,608. Inflation is typically approximately 2.5% annually. Knowing that every company is in the business of making money, along with employees wanting raises, how did your insurance company justify an 11% raise in 1 year? I know that most of our paychecks did not increase by 11%. I certainly didn't, and I actually anticipated not doing that for a long time. Now that we're facing COVID, but that's another really good question. And inflation never really never really went hand in hand with aviation insurance. The rates are determined by losses. For the past 10 years, premiums have actually been decreasing. So they haven't been going up with inflation. They've been decreasing faster than like 10 to 15% per year in some cases. So carriers have now realized they've crossed the line into unprofitability. They've had many unprofitable years. It's caused by losses being greater. The amount of money we're paying on losses is greater than the premium that's coming in. It's due to catastrophic events as well as attritional events. And just the cost of repairs is going up, cost of getting parts going up. I like how the underwriter from AIG says it. It's like an aircraft in descent. When you're down close to the trees, you have to pull up hard. And the market's experiencing some admittedly very heavy G-forces as it's pulling out of its dive right now. And that's why you're seeing increases. Same goes for question number 13. Similar, I was wondering why my insurance premium jumped 25% this year. I have an AN2 aircraft and 74 years old and have been insured for over 15 years with COPA. I questioned Magnes, and they said it was because of my age and that liability insurance had increased across the board. Is this your understanding about current premiums too? Thank you. This is from Lee Barker with the Ontario. So I would argue that, or I would state that it's not because of your age in this case, if you're just buying liability only. So I'll have to correct the broker that passed along that advice. But quite right that we did have to put some increases through on our silver liability program, and for the same reasons that I covered above.
Okay.
Great.
Belinda, we're talking about increases. I want to mention that the insurance companies, the underwriters, and all the insurance companies in the world, they deal not just with 172s, but they're all over the market. So if it's the whole aviation market, right? If there's something bad with the big players, it goes down to us also, right?
Well, absolutely. I mean, the COPA program is underwritten by AIG, which is one of the largest, I think, one of the top aviation insurers in the world. Mm-hmm. So they're on majority of airlines across the globe, as well as writing probably the majority of Cessna 172.
Yeah. And any underwriter there's no one specific just to the smaller general aviation. They're just all over they have the whole spectrum. So
well, I mean, there's certainly some very small players that might just do private aviation, but private aircraft, but that's very unusual.
Okay.
Usually it's the bigger, stronger, AA type companies are doing the whole spectrum of aviation.
What I'm hinting at is that if we see a major catastrophe of Boeing being hit and having major lawsuits of different types, we can certainly expect, or maybe in years or sometime after that, to see a few increases because insurance companies are paying out if there's a big catastrophe or something out there, right?
Yeah, for sure. And that whole Boeing event has been huge for aviation. But I have to say the attritional losses have been really bad as well. So it's not bad on its own.
Okay. Want to go through the next question?
Okay, sure. Thank you. In the past 3 to 4 years, Magnes was not able to get me the best insurance premium or coverage with the COPA Gold program, and I had to settle with outside market. Is it just me or other members are in the same boat? And number two, the second question is, insurance in general not exposed to the same risk as pre-COVID-19 due to high reduction of aircraft utilization since March 2020. Are COPA members going to be compensated with a premium refund? Okay, so the first part of that question, this is from Jimmy from Laval, Quebec. And I don't want to mispronounce your name, but I think it's Augusti is the last name. Is that right, Mark?
That would be it. Okay.
So I'm sorry that we haven't been able to provide you the best pricing under the Gold program. It's hard without seeing your knowing your type of aircraft and your experience. It's hard for me to comment on that. So I would love to take that offline and look into it and see if I can give you a more educated answer to that. The second question, I'm not 100% sure what it is. I'm confused by the question. Bernard, do you understand what he's asked?
Insurance are because there's less people there. It's less risky there's less risk of not flying. Yeah, because we're not flying.
Okay, so that's similar to the very first question I answered. I think that we don't. They're not giving back. Insurance companies aren't reducing you to ground coverage and giving back credit, but some, like the COPA program, will give you a credit back for being laid up. And if you're renewing at inception, we can certainly offer you just ground coverage. But in general, like I said before, when an underwriter is looking at a risk, they're not looking at how many hours the person flew. Whether you flew 25 hours in the last 12 months or 100 hours, your price and everything else is the same. Price is going to be pretty close. So there's not really room to reduce coverage there. Sorry, to reduce the premium.
Okay, if Jimmy's on and that answers your question, if you want more details, you can also comment and let us know if you're on.
Yeah,
we had 59 people on, so he may be on there. I'll read the next one. In the event recreational activities, boating, motorcycling, flying, etc., are banned, as well as the possibility of access to recreational properties restricted, would our insurance still be valid if some of those restrictions were ignored? From Perry Graham in Toronto.
So there is, in most insurance policies, there's an exclusion for illegal activities.
Mm-hmm.
So I would suspect if the provincial government or federal government mandated that you cannot fly, and you did that, I think the insurance company could rely upon that clause to deny coverage.
Okay. This is a touchy one because we've had, we can get into a discussion about this, Belinda, but we've asked transport. It's not illegal to fly. It's not illegal. There's nothing restricting us from flying, from going up there, except that transport are abiding by the regulations, or not the regulations, but the what the provincial governments and health authorities are saying, like don't cross the region, stay home, don't use your car unless it's essential. Da, da, da. That would be, I understand that would probably be a fine line for the insurer to look at this, right? If something were to happen.
I suspect, I mean, I can tell you as of today, if you're flying your airplane and have an accident, the insurance company is going to treat you exactly the same today as they did pre-COVID. There's been no change in that sense because there has been no law or legal position that we can't recreationally fly our aircraft.
Okay. Good.
As far as I know.
Okay.
Okay.
As far as you know. All right.
Number 16. I would love to. It's Janet on the call. You're obviously a customer of ours. I know you guys quite well. I'll visit you. I would like to deal with that one offline. I have a really good solution for you. So.
Do you want to read the question just to say that we're going to?
Oh, sure. So this is the Abbotsford Flying Club, and they'd like to post a question regarding the aircraft insurance. Since the club has to shut down and also ground the aircraft, which date does the 60-day layup credit start from? So they're referring to the layup that I referenced earlier with the Book Gold program. The day the club had to ground the aircraft and close the doors due to social distancing measures, or what question mark? She wants to know, when does that start? And also, she says, could aircraft insurance policy be extended for month-by-month basis instead of purchase a full-year insurance policy due to cash flow management? So the first part, I don't want to give away the privacy of your account, but I have a answer to that question. But in a general answer, the layup starts the day you call our office and tell us that the aircraft are laid up. Okay. That's the general answer. The second part, also could the aircraft insurance policy be extended? Unfortunately, no. Insurance policies are all 12-month policies, but we have options of premium financing so that you can pay your premium monthly to help with cash flow.
Okay. But you did want to take that one offline. I'm sorry I put you on the spot there. I guess you can contact Janet if you want.
Yeah, I'd like to talk to Janet.
Okay.
On that one. Okay.
All right.
Number 17.
Yes.
I would like to know if I still have full haul coverage if my medical has expired. The extension by Transport Canada has been given until August. This is by Brian Eisner in Nova Scotia. And Brian, as long as your medical is like this, because you haven't been able to renew it due to COVID, then yes, all the insurance companies are following Transport Canada's position on that. So if they've agreed to extend it until August, then the insurance company's policy will follow you until then as well. No problem.
We had the question previously a few weeks ago. So if that's the law, that's the law, and the insurance company will follow the regulations. So yeah, thank you, Belinda. Okay. Next question from Keith Reedner in Vernon.
That's right. So he's asked what age are the insurance companies starting to cut off insurance for pilots? And he goes on to say, it seems to me if I have a class 1 medical and I'm staying current on type, there should be no issue. Please explain the rationale for denying insurance coverage in this instance. Okay, so the age has always been a difficult issue. As far as I know, there's no line in the sand for any insurance company in terms of an age where they're cutting you off. However, the insurance companies will look differently at new submissions than they will renewal. So if you come to them, they may not take you on new at a certain age, but they will agree to renew you at that same age. And so what I've always told my customers, as well as members and all the different people I've spoken to, is I would say, around maybe the age of 65, that you should start thinking about finding an insurance company that's going to stick with you for the long run. So ask the question to your broker about the type of insurance company that you're with and say, well, will they stick with me when I'm flying when I'm 80? Ask the question. There are insurance companies that I can tell you right now school at that age. And if that's not okay with you now at the age of 65, then you should consider moving to somebody that actually is going to be a little bit more open to people that have been have been customers of theirs for 15 years. And they're not going to make it so difficult.
So what you're saying is at some point it's sort of developing a relationship of knowing your broker and your insurance company and establishing some stability. Yeah, that's what I mean. It's like different insurance companies have different personalities, just like all of us, and they probably do have numbers that they aren't willing to share with us because that's their secret medicine, so to speak. And, their new business age might be different than their renewal age, but I know if I can use AIG, the FOPA insurer, for example, is they're very loyal to customers that have been very loyal. So they're not going to walk away from you on your, 78th birthday, for example. They're just not going to do it. They're going to stick with you. But if you come to them at the age of 78 looking for insurance on a SR22 for the first time ever, then you might have some challenge. Okay. That's after moving from your 150 to an SR22, right? Well, it's a great airplane. No, I'm just saying because you do get some people like that. They wouldn't insure me. Well, you're moving from a 150 to an SR22, a brand new one. There's a little. Yes. I mean, I don't think I saw any questions about transitioning, but that's a whole seminar topic on its own. It would be, yeah. Other question about the annual maintenance. Right. So the way the aviation insurance policies work is they require you to have a valid C of A. Do you want to read the question first? Oh, I'm sorry. My apologies. The question is, during the aircraft annual maintenance, if the owner does not tell the AME to ensure that all the ADs are up to date, is the aircraft considered airworthy after completion of the annual, and is the insurance voided if the ADs are not up to date? If the aircraft owner tells the AME the aircraft has sustained a propeller strike, is the AME required to perform a prop range check to ensure the engine is airworthy and also to ensure the insurance is not voided in the event of an accident due to the prop strike? And this is from Doug Sexton in Winnipeg, Manitoba. I've had this question asked many times. I started saying that the majority of policies out there have a certificate of airworthiness exclusion. So if your aircraft it has an invalid C of A at the time of the accident, this obviously applies to certified aircraft, then the coverage can be denied. So it's important that you are keeping your annuals up to date and that your C of A is valid. The insurance company doesn't drill down much further than that. If your AME signed you off, then they're relying on the fact that the AME has done what they are licensed, certified, and trained to do. Now, if they didn't do what they're licensed, certified, and trained to do, and an accident occurs that is somehow related to their negligence, then the insurance company can elect to go after them for any claim that they pay out to you. Okay.
The part of the prop strike, do they have to crack open the engine? Again, I think you have to refer to the, your own manufacturer's guidelines. But as far as I know, yes, you have to crack open the engine each time there's a prop strike to ensure that there's no internal damage.
So there's
again, that's not an insurance requirement. That's a C of A.
It's a C of A, and it's a relationship thing with your AME. So it's yeah. Okay. I'll read the next question, Belinda.
Okay.
We own a Piper Cherokee registered for private use with the 4 partners listed on the insurance policy from Magnes and an open pilot clause. What are the restrictions, if any, on selling block time on our airplane and have other pilots fly it as PIC without one of the partners present? That's from Yaron Perlman from Vaughan, Ontario.
Okay, thank you, Yaron. So I have to be careful, I think, when I answer these questions, because when I answer for the POPE program, it might be different than another insurance company. And you may be insured through us with COPA, but you may be insured through us with a different insurance company. As far as COPA is concerned, most of the policies have what we call an open pilot clause or an open pilot warranty included on it. And this pilot warranty is meant for occasional pilots. It's meant to get you out of sticky situations where you need somebody to ferry your plane or to fly it from A to B to help you out. And it's a weekend or it's in the evening or you just forgot to call us or whatever it is. And really it puts the underwriting in your hands. You can ask the questions, and if you feel comfortable with this individual flying your airplane, then you can go ahead and allow that, and it will be covered under the policy. However, that open pilot warranty is not meant for pilots regularly flying the aircraft. And so if you are contracting with someone to do block time on your airplane, you really need to be advising the insurance company of that so that it can be appropriately underwritten.
Okay, because we do have those questions coming up once in a while. People think that the open pilot clause means they can have absolutely anyone, anytime, for as long as they wish, as they want. You're saying it's really for specific times and purposes, and it's not. It wouldn't be like a blanket cover for anything or anyone at any time. It's really specific.
It's meant for occasional pilots.
Yeah. Okay. It just covers the rare occasion where you do need someone to do that. So it's not just an open, really like wide open. It's not like a buffet of anyone can fly there. Fly your aircraft, right?
I mean, that's the intent. There's no, there's nothing that's they're not gonna deny a loss. Like if you forgot and you have a guy that's flown 25 hours the last 12 months and there's an accident, they're not gonna deny it because he's a regular guy instead of occasional, but they're gonna question the renewal. They're going to wonder why, and they're going to want to know an explanation for that moving forward.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Right.
If Yaron is on the line, we've got 68 people watching presently, so maybe Yaron's on the line. You can comment on the side if you have more questions or more details. I'll read the other one, Belinda. Will the Magnes insurance cover the private pilots, private owners for flying without a dual check flight this year? From Gino Caviccioli in Grimsby.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks, Gino, for your question. This one kind of threw me a little bit because we don't regularly ask for dual check rides under the program. So unless there's a reason that I'm not aware of, it could be that you're trying to do a different train or maybe that's not something that I normally see. However, we do have other insurance companies that we work with that have certain currency minimums. For example, one company wants to see that you've flown at least 10 to 15 hours in the last 12 months. And if you haven't, they may require a dual checkout. Another company that we don't do a lot with, but another company, depending on your age, will ask that you do a dual checkout. So every insurance company is slightly different on that, but as far as the SOPA program, no, there isn't a requirement there unless it's specific to your file.
Okay. Belinda, I'll get back. Yaron wrote something in the comments section. He says it was about the open pilot clause. And he goes, I was wondering how best I can inquire about the proper insurance policy for this type of block time operation. Would the answer be to give you guys a call?
Yes, please. That was probably the best.
Yeah, and if you could, give Magnes a call. They do this day in and out, and they'll just look at the specifics and give you the best answer.
Yeah.
Alan Walker has a comment also, which I think is valid, and I've said this in many of my President's Corners. All should be doing a check ride with an instructor at least annually. I think it is, and I've said this so many times in my President's Corner. It's the best $50 or $60 or $70 or however costs, whatever costs an instructor, that you can invest in yourself. You don't need to buy a gizmo that you'll put in your panel. Go for 1 hour with an instructor, and it's the best investment you can do. That the instructor, that flight will just stretch your envelope and bring you back up to speed, and most likely make it a pilot out of you. But 1 hour a year is just wonderful. Thank you for that comment there, Alan. I truly believe we should be doing that. Other questions?
Yeah, I do too, and just a reminder that under the SOPA program, we have that accident forgiveness if you are going up to an instructor.
Yes.
Which is a nice feature.
Yes, if you go up with an instructor and you have an accident of some type, the forgiveness is that you won't have an increase at your renewal. So it's a nice feature, and you should make the insurer aware that you've gone up there.
Yeah.
Good. We have other questions. You want to read that one?
Yeah, this is a long question, a big one. So I am a lifetime member of COPA, a retired professional pilot, 26,000 hours, no incidents, accidents, or insurance claims. I'm 71 years old, full medical. I don't wear glasses. I own a lake amphibian. I have 600 hours of type. I have COPA insurance in the past, but moved to EAAC plan due to better quotes. This year I inquired about COPA insurance when my renewal date was approaching. I was told that Magnes would not quote insurance on a lake. I'm concerned about getting in-motion insurance on the lake. I do recurrent training, and the factory-approved lake instructor may not be available without full insurance. I don't think it's reasonable to deny full insurance solely based on type of aircraft. The lake with approved training is not worse than other types in terms of risk. Advised this can be rectified. The insurance is becoming unaffordable, and I'm also concerned that age is a factor, although they cannot say that. So, Brian, yeah, that doesn't seem, I see why you're upset about that. Again, it's back to, I mean, there's a lot going on here, but we've had, programs had some bad luck recently with Lake. And when I say recently, I'd say within the past 5 years. And so we are taking a break from them. We're not getting off of them if we've got them, but we're trying to, or I should say the insurer's trying to manage their risk exposure to them. So it could just be a timing thing for you. I am happy to revisit this for you. I hadn't in a little bit more detail, find out what's going on with the EAAC plan and if they're not able to help you. And, you know, I can't guarantee, but I'm more than happy to speak to you offline on this.
I don't know, Brian, if you're online right now, but it could be contacting Belinda, or she can contact you. Mm-hmm. Okay. I do get calls in the office about similar situations like that. Greg Sterling just put a comment in there. Lakes, it's not about you as the pilot, it's about the cost to repair the aircraft. And Greg is the underwriter. He's AIG. He's the one that working with Belinda and Magnes. So they're the the underwriter. So they know about this, and it's really the cost of the aircraft. Because all these, I'll say, we do get quite a few, but these one-offs and some rare aircraft and cost to repair, finding parts, how unique is the aircraft, how hard is it to repair the aircraft, that influences a lot, I would say, in the insurance and the premium. So there's that's factored in. But giving Belinda a call, Brian, would be...
Yeah, I'd like to take another run. I'd like to take another run at that, if he wouldn't mind.
Next question, Belinda.
Under the approved pilot clause from William McAllister, and thank you from Adams. Under the approved pilot clause, what is the real maximum number of pilots the underwriter will cover? And why is the number not specified in the policy if there is restriction? So there is no writ restriction. The application that we receive is underwritten by the insurance company. So when we receive it, if there's three pilots on it, it's underwritten to 3 pilots. If there's 10, it's underwritten to 10 pilots. So if we add more midway through the policy period, then we need to see those pilots and we need to present the underwriter so that the risk can be reviewed. However, saying that, I would say typically most private aircraft insurers out there are looking to max a private aircraft risk to the pilot. And once, if it gets over that, then it's not that they're not willing to write it, but they're probably going to put it into a different category because the usage has now gone up fairly significantly, and they want to be reviewing that and pricing it accordingly. I hope that answered your question.
I hope so. Is William online? If so, maybe if that answers your question, then you can get to us through the comments. Chris Law, who came on, Belinda Bryce is Magnes Insurance. Chris, I guess was not part of it, not there for the introduction. The other question, I'll read that one. What are the restrictions on insuring an airplane pilot for off-port, as in a farm strip or backcountry flying? So what are the restrictions on insuring the aircraft or a pilot for that? Okay,
yeah. So for those who joined us a little bit later, my name is Belinda Bryce. I head the aviation division at the Magnes Group, and we're the broker. We're proud to be the inverse broker for COPA, but we also represent all aviation insurers in Canada. So I feel that I'm up to speed on what's going on these days in general aviation. So Cameron, no, there are absolutely no restrictions for off-airport flying. I mean, that's just part of what Canadian is. And as long as you are landing within the confines of your POA, and in your legal, we have no issue.
You could just go anywhere. That's legal, right, for the aircraft, and no drug running, right, Belinda?
Yeah, that's any illegal is not
we did
usually
say that, yeah,
go very well
okay.
in a plane.
Not do that. Okay. And the other question that we've got there, if you want to take it.
Yeah, I think it's the last one, right? I was wondering how best to inquire about proper insurance policy for this type of operation. Oh, sorry.
We did talk about that one, yeah. We mentioned that we got it from the comments, so it would be a question contacting Belinda.
So I think that's all my questions.
Pretty much. We will get, so we have time. We've taken 45 minutes. We will be talking about other questions that were submitted then. But the one question is a comment that came in from Gordon Miller. Block time was mentioned. I heard an airplane should be commercially registered if you're selling block time. Is this true? So, Linda, does the aircraft have to be commercially registered to be insured and to sell block?
No, I don't believe so. I think that there's a lot of gray area around this on how transport manages it, which I'm not really the right person to answer that question. But no, we wouldn't, from an insurance perspective, we don't require an aircraft to be commercially registered in order to have block time pilots flying your airplane.
And I know that from transport also need to be commercially registered. And there is a big gray zone depending on who and what, and each case is specific. We've seen cases where people, 10 people are owners, and there's one of them that's the instructor and instructing the other 9. That's iffy. We've seen different cases, so it depends how this is done. And yeah, there's someone saying that sounds like a Transport Canada question, but we've asked Transport a few times about this, and it's always, what is the exact situation? So there's no answer. It's really case by case. It's specific to each and everyone's case about the time thing.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
I don't see. Oh, yeah, that's it. There's another question there from Margie Wazo, or Margie. Why are insurance companies opposed to operators shopping around for insurance? That question we've got.
So okay. Why are they opposed to? Why are insurance companies opposed to customers shopping around for their insurance? I don't think they're opposed to it. Mm-hmm. I think that what a lot of people don't know is what happens when you shop your insurance is that you know, when you go to a broker will do the shopping on your behalf. So if you go to 3 brokers, then you've got 3 brokers shopping on your behalf. So the 3 brokers will go to the same insurance company 3 times. And so that one insurance company is seeing a submission from you 3 different times. So they don't love that, but that's not your fault. That's the broker's fault for not explaining to you how the process works. So I always say, you know, interview your broker and figure out what their expertise is. Do you like them? Do you have a good rapport? Are they available? Do they answer their phone? Do they get back to you in time? Choose your broker and then let them do the shop for you.
And Belinda, correct me if I'm wrong, but you're obviously entitled to ask your broker who they will ask quotes to, right?
Oh, absolutely. And you can give your broker very clear instructions. In fact, that happens a lot for us, where people will call and say, I just want a COPA quote from you, and we'll if we're getting we have another broker already that's getting us a quote from our other insurer, for example.
Yeah. So someone can say, I want to deal with COPA with AIG. That's it. Or if you say, I don't want to deal with some other insurance company, don't ask a quote to Global or whatever other company. I don't want this. I just want to stick with this program, or I don't like these guys. Whatever. You're entitled to do that. You are entitled to do that,
but most people won't assume that's what you want. Yeah. Because we've been brought up as doing the the broker is, like, we've been brought up to shop for you and get the best price and best coverage. So our natural thing is to go and canvas the entire market and find the best option for you.
Yeah. Greg is putting some comments there, which I find, well, people see them, but also thanking COPA members for supporting the Passion to Fly by insuring the air through the COPA VIP program. Yes, thank you, members. But pick your broker first and let the broker work for you, and that's exactly it. And I've heard this for the 5 years I've been doing this job at COPA and working with Belinda. Let the broker do the work for you. And the folks, some people call me and they think I can resolve a few things with insurance. It's not the COPA insurance, it's the COPA program working with Magnes, with AIG, working to get the best for the members. And it's the broker's the one that's running around and getting the best for the members. So just go ahead and talk to your broker and pick your broker first. I've got probably one more question for you that just came in, Belinda, and I know the answer to this one, but I'll let you expand. I'm 78 years old. I will run into insurance problems renting an aircraft. Is there renting insurance available? And that's from David McCrae.
Oh, Absolutely. We have a great program under COPA. It's the bronze program. It's for non-owned, renting, borrowing, friends, playing, any of that. I think it's priced very competitively. You can buy just liability, or you can actually buy liability to cover damage to the aircraft as well. So sure, give us a call and we can help you out.
So it's the renter's insurance, bronze, and it's immensely popular with student pilots, with the people that rent. So it is the renter's insurance, the par excellence renter's insurance. So give Magnes a call about that one. The question popped in. Andrew Jones, is there a best way for a pilot with, say, less than 300 hours to reduce their insurance costs for their aircraft? What would be the best way for them to keep it low, Belinda? Let me put it some other way, because I know I've gone through this. Like, what's if I called you up and I said, Belinda, well, last year was $3,000, and this year I did 60 hours. What would entice you to, or what could reduce the cost of my insurance? What are the parameters, or is there a sort of checklist that you guys go through and say, oh, we'll reduce the price here?
So one of the diet probably has the biggest impact on your insurance. If you're thinking about doing that, I think most of the insurers, all would consider some sort of discount because of that. And it happens at renewal. It doesn't happen midway through when you get it. It would happen at renewal. Commercial, like going up your commercial from a private to a commercial license, may have a little bit of impact, but not as much as an IFR. Deductibles help reduce your price, not under the program because don't have deductibles, but if the insurance company you're with has deductibles, you can ask about taking on a higher deductible. Making sure you're flying a lot, and a lot is probably like at least more than 50 hours a year if you can. That helps. What else could you do? Make sure your value is accurate. I think a lot of people might, depending on what kind of airplane you have or when you bought it, you might have purchased it new, and then 5 years later you still have it insured for the same value when it's actually depreciated, unfortunately. Mm-hmm. Or the opposite. Maybe you haven't kept up with it, and even though the insurance premium may not be less, if you have a loss, your out-of-pocket cost significant. So there's more than just the premium when it comes to insurance. You can always lowering the insurance to purchase, but obviously I don't recommend that. There's different liability limits you can take, and what else? Are you keeping it hangers? There's always discounts for hangering under the COPA program. That's not consistent with all the insurance companies out there, so I can't tell you for sure that everyone's the same way. Taking additional safety training, going up with instructors. Someone brought that up, doing checkouts, and then making sure that your broker knows about that so that they can advise their underwriter. I do want to say, though, despite all of that, we are in a really, really difficult market right now. The whole insurance industry, frankly, but aviation specifically. And what these things may help you, it may help prevent you from getting a double-digit increase, but you're still going to get an increase in this market. Mm-hmm. So I don't want to mislead you. We are seeing increases on private aircraft anywhere from, greater than 10% to 100%. And we've even seen some companies, one in particular, and it's not going to affect any of the COPA members, that are getting off risks altogether. So they're just, and we've actually lost a handful of insurance companies in Canada that have got out of aviation insurance altogether. So it's a really difficult time. So you can certainly mitigate your increase, but it's going to be hard to avoid an increase this year, unfortunately.
Yeah, we have Greg that comments, straight your commitment to safety, recurrent training, sharp, and do the regulatory requirements, but stay sharp and do some recurrent training. At least demonstrating that is also, it's a check like, okay, this person is doing some recurrent training, going up with an instructor, working towards another license, maybe a CPL and some other rating. So it's always good to know that you are staying current and you want to be ahead of the curve.
Yeah.
That's one thing. Go on, Belinda.
I just saw a question come in from Bernard that says, Bernard from Yaron Perlman asking if he needs an instructor. This is a name pilot on the policy.
Yeah.
Not typically if he's flying with you, but if he's ever going to fly on his own, then it's a good idea to have him included.
So if the instructor will fly on his own in your aircraft?
Yeah, he should be named. But if he's just flying giving you dual instruction, the majority of insurance companies we work with, I think all of them, in fact, automatically cover pilots while training the unapproved pilot.
Yeah, you don't need to go out of your way. If you're going to be with an instructor on the right side there, the right seat, you don't need to call the broker up and say, this is such and such will be fine with me this weekend or giving me dual. And usually, instructor is usually approved, right? So it's, yeah.
Yeah, they're automatically covered unless they fly by themselves.
Okay. So I see Aaron says thanks to that. Okay. I think we're good with the insurance questions. I would say, yeah. Anything else to add, Belinda?
No, other than I agree. Thank you to everybody, all the members that have called us and to the program, and I'm always here if you have any questions. We have a team of brokers dedicated to the COPA program, and then another 10 brokers doing commercial and other areas of aviation. So if you can't reach somebody on the first try, we are so busy right now trying to deal with all the COVID questions. And please just try me. I try to make myself very available, and I can call you back in 24 hours.
Okay. There's one last question, which has come up already when people do call me in the office. Is the current dollar swing versus the US dollar going to affect the renewals, giving the hull values that seem to be a big factor? The Canadian dollar value versus the US dollar.
Yeah, you should check every renewal. You should be checking your value of your aircraft. Aircraft, as you know, are all valued at, and then we just apply exchange rate. So, yeah, it's something we try to pay attention to, but it's really important that you are constantly looking at that. We do have a inflation guard in the COPA policy. This is very unique to COPA, though, and nobody else has this. But it's only 5%, but it's something for sure. And I think there's a max limit, and it has to be backed by formal monetary exchange rates. So really the best thing to do is to review the value with your broker. We have access to the Blue Book online. We can always do a Blue Book appraisal for you, and then just use the exchange so you're getting the right value.
Good. And another question came, and I think we'll take that last one because I've been saying this for the last 10 minutes. What does ground coverage look like?
Pardon me?
Ground coverage. What is ground coverage?
Okay, so ground coverage, or otherwise known as not in motion hull coverage, is the physical damage coverage for your aircraft while it's hangared, tied down. It's not moving. It can be towed, but as soon as you start up the engine and it's moving under its own propulsion, the coverage stops. So you could arguably even do a run up, but you can't move. Okay.
So we had that question from Janet Martins. So thank you for the question. It is 7 Eastern Daylight Time. I said we'd take an hour of your time, Belinda. Thank you very much. I'll take 15 minutes, about 15 minutes, to go through the other questions that we received. And if I see people just dropping off, then okay, I'll know that people are not interested. But I think there would be an interest. I'll answer those questions, and we'll take 15, 20 minutes through them. Belinda, do you want to stay with us, or I can just thank you and thank you for your time? It's up to you.
I'd love to stay on.
Okay, well, all right. So we did get some other questions, and one is about the 10-year prop waiver for private aircraft. A few questions, actually. Clay Het from Eagle Lake Ranch in BC and Terry Calvert from Lake Saskatchewan. It's about the 10-year overhaul that we asked for about a year and a half or two ago. It's a long time thing. It won't take. I knew it wasn't going to happen in just 6 months. If you look at AOPA in the States, I think the basic med took 20 years, 30 years. So I'm not thinking it would take that long, but still, it's going to take a little bit of time. So we asked the question specifically for this Facebook Live. I said again to Transport, seeing where they were, and said there is no waiver or exemption in place at this time, and the current regulatory framework applies. We are reviewing the latest request from COPA, looking at possible alternate solutions to allow a small deviation. However, due to COVID-19 circumstances, the continuation of this work has been delayed. So it's a long haul thing, and we are working on this. We're pushing every time we have an opportunity. The question goes back in there, saying that we're there to help, and we can do something. We'll help them, help us, and it will be a benefit to everyone. They won't have to regulate that much, and we'll be happy by saving a few bucks. But we are working on this, and the question came today from, I think it was from Terry Calvert. It should be top priority. It's one of our priorities within COPA at this time, and we're working on this, so we're not letting that one go. Other question was, Harv's Air in Manitoba is opening up. Harv's Air is a flight training unit. Does that mean Saskatchewan and BC can open up? The answer to that, I asked specifically, and then there was a sub-question. I just read airlines where distancing isn't possible, they need to wear masks. This affect instructing, and I feel like we can continue instructing with proper safety measures. And then there was another question. What is TransCanada's directive for small two-seater aircraft regarding passengers or guests, I guess, due to COVID-19? The answer from Transport is the lifting of prohibitions and the criteria for the resumption of business is the responsibility of each provincial government in accordance with the recommendation of their chief medical officer and public health ministry. TC is subordinate to the issue. We are required to comply. In other words, and I was on the phone just to go further with that question with the TC officials, and they're listening to the provincial officials, and there's no regulations or federal regulation with this. If a business is not essential in a province, flight training units are not, then it is to be closed. It will not open. Can you fly? Can you instruct with a mask and gloves? No, you cannot go up there because it's a non-essential business. Can we still go up? Can we just follow? And the answer from Transport is see what's in your provincial regulations and how it is to be handled with either with a car, with a social distanciation, whatever. It's the same thing aircraft. And as for flight training units, no, it's not across the country. It would be a provincial thing. So it's depending on where you live. It's not for Transport. Transport is not regulating that. So they're really working with the health officials from the different provinces. But right now, they comply with all provinces, and they may each be different. So it's not a federal thing. Another question was I like this one. I'll just say something to be on the record. I have an airplane located in Arizona and want to bring it to Canada for the summer and return to the USA in the fall. The plane is registered in the USA, and I will not be importing it. I am a Canadian. So in other words, this gentleman, Roland from Saskatchewan, got an N-registered aircraft, and hopefully he used it quite a lot in the States because he's probably got a house there in Arizona. He's got an FAA license. He's got a Canadian license, and he's a house, I guess, in Arizona. He's got one here in Saskatchewan. So he will be, depending on the flying across the border or going commercially across the border, will the border be open when he wants to go? Fine, let's say it is. He can go commercially to Arizona, and yes, he will be able to come back and land his aircraft at an airport in Saskatchewan. Because he is a Canadian citizen, he will be allowed to come in as long as he teens and all that. What I do want to say on it, though, and because I talked to this gentleman, and he will be using the aircraft in Arizona. And I know I might steer a little bit of crap here, but COPA is not for members or anyone in Canada maintaining and registered aircraft here for years and years just to avoid taxes, regulations, and a bunch of other things. I personally have told members, if you want to do that, we will not support you. The law says that you keep an N-registered aircraft in Canada for 90 days, and that's it. The rest, well, maybe you will get taxed and you will be asked a few questions, but there's no reason why you should keep an N-registered aircraft in the country to avoid paying taxes, avoid maintenance regulations and all this. So I know we don't have that many people on the line here, but this is not something that we're pushing. And I'd say don't expect any help from COPA on that. Because I feel as Canadian citizens and a Canadian national organization, we should not be pushing and tempting members to avoid following our regulations. That's the way I see it. And but in this case, it was the aircraft was being used in the States quite a bit. So fine, it's doing more time in Arizona than in Canada, so that's fine. The other question, let's see. Can you please give an update on the status of the safety seminar TC's General Aviation Safety Campaign has announced in partnership with COPA to be delivered throughout the country by individual COPA flights? So I've got a long answer here from Transport. Okay, I'll read this. Our intent was to identify persons within COPA flights who would be approved to deliver TC-approved GA safety seminars. Unfortunately, TC ran into some challenges. Each Transport Canada region is responsible to approve GA safety seminars and recurrent training programs delivered by an association, organization, or an individual in its region. And some regions voiced their concern that they were not comfortable with the concept. The GA safety campaign is now moving on to be a program. So TC is in a much better position to address these concerns as time goes by, as well as time to update internal staff instructions, which will provide clarity on the concept as well as guidance material. And there's a longer answer after that, but the point is that they ran into a little bit of pushback from the regions and the regional directors that said, whoa, this is our bailiwick and how national office in Ottawa wants to do this, because it's a significant change. It would be from Ottawa. Ottawa would be approving all these seminars going out. Right now it's regions, and now they said, well, because the campaign, the GAC campaign is overseeing this, we would be giving these seminars out and distributing them to the regions. But now the regions want to see this, they want to approve them, and there is a significant difference between regions. We know that for maintenance, for medical situations, and in seminars. Some seminars are approved in a region, they wouldn't be in some other region. So wanting to have a national overview on that is something good for the pilots, for everyone, for safety. But the regions are pushing back on that. So bottom line, the answer is, bottom line, we have not lost sight of the concept. We just have to take a detour on the way. I can't provide you with an exact timeline, but it's safe to say that we will probably see something sooner rather than later, especially as with COVID-19, there's been a large push from industry for TC to deliver GA safety seminars virtually. In fact, COPA and TC are currently working on putting one together to address many of the COVID-19 concerns, medicals, annuals, currency, etc. And it is true, we have started, Lauren Nagel has been working with TC, and we were putting this together, and we were going to do something in the upcoming week or the week after that, when we stopped everything dead in its tracks until we could talk to the people from the regions, TC regions. So it's in the works. It's just a question of smoothing things out with the regions. Another question, which is, it's a long one. I'll put it out there. I'm concerned with the current perception of COPA in the community, and I will assume you are too. I'm not really. But my son asked me why I'm a member of COPA, what I get out of it. To be honest, it took some hard digging to make some things up. And that odd. And I'm being transparent reading these questions to you. I support COPA. I feel the advocacy component is worth something, but it really made me think about the lack of all the other areas. The other is a big one. Aviation is the only interest that doesn't get air, quote unquote. By this I mean advertising. Everywhere we turn to, there are ads selling $180,000 wakeboard boats, fishing, camping, dirt bikes, hunting, etc. COPA should be playing a large role in advertising aviation, and I don't mean subsidizing manufacturers to make commercial. We're talking about COPA creating and investing in the inspiration of people to seduce them into aviation. People fly because it makes them feel a certain way, not because they need to go somewhere. I feel COPA needs to stop and start kicking some ass in the HD videography field by creating some inspirational flying commercials that tell people you can. So my question is, with the decline in membership and the negative perception around contribution to aviation, what is the plan, and how does it include amateur-built ultralights and GA? That's a big question, big concept. It could be addressed in many ways. I'll go to the last paragraph. With the decline in membership and negative perception around COPA's contribution, and that's from Mike Silvernagel in Saskatchewan. The negative perception around COPA's contribution is, I don't agree with that. I would say it's actually positive. If it's a negative perception, it's people not getting their way. If for their own specific thing is what I've noticed. Most people, it's the numbers themselves, and being together, it is a positive perception. It's never been better. Never been better with the relationships we've built and what we're progressing, what we're doing with either insurance, the relationships we've built with transport, with NAV, with other associations. So there is no negative perception around the association. There's negative perception about aviation itself, about either small aviation, about general aviation, or us being out there, and the acceptability of the small local airports. Like, why are these guys there? They're just rich people with their toys. That's what's out there. That's the negative perception. The decline in membership, that's being addressed, and it's something that we're dealing with at the national office and with the board. I will say that it is odd, but in actual numbers, we've never been better. We've never had such a high penetration rate and a high percentage of pilots within COPA. Never in all the years of COPA. We hit 50% of all the non-commercial pilots, which we've never hit before. We have we've got 30% of all the licenses, civil aviation licenses, 30% are members of COPA. So the declining membership is it's not membership, it's the number of licenses, civil aviation licenses out there, and the pilots. Over the last year, 10,000 less pilots in Canada. Where are they? I think they're international students. They've gone, they're not there, and these are official Transport Canada numbers. So it's a decline in pilots. It's a decline in traffic controllers. It's a decline in mechanics. It's all these licenses that are out there. We've got 30% of all civil aviation licenses are members of COPA. And it's never been that high. It was always around 22, 23, 24, 25. Over the last 2-3 years, it's been 29%. Of the non-commercial, the ones not making anything out of that, so the private helicopter, aircraft, or airplane, helicopters, glider, balloon, And the student pilots, we figure these are non-commercial. We've got 50 of those are members of COPA. So declining membership, it's declining pilots. It's a pilot shortage, and we are there to address that. That's what we need to do. So the next question, not the next question, but the other concept of what's in it. Greg, thank you for putting this up there. Why belong to COPA? Why not? Why not be part of this group and show your affinity to being a pilot? Safer together than apart, yes, but we're together as one voice. When I know we have people dissenting, saying, "Oh, well, COPA, what are you for COPA? What's COPA doing? What's COPA doing for you?" Well, COPA is few people. It's an organization with some credibility, notoriety out there. We are known, knowledge and the history we've got, and I'd say the credibility, yes, and legitimacy also to come up with some important things that we bring to at the political level. Being part of that is important. For $75 a year, it's really cheap. Some people think, isn't it a month? It should be a month. No, it's a year. So for $75, what we do serves everyone, every pilot in the country. So why not be a part of COPA? The other thing I know from some of our surveys, the biggest feature is the VIP program. I know the last survey we did in 2017, for 35% of our members, that was number one feature for being with COPA. So it's really, really important to us, and that's why we've taken some time with Belinda and for Greg to be here. That's nice also. The insurance program and the VIP program, we are really, it's our number one thing for COPA members as a benefit. It's just being together, the advocacy, and speaking as one voice. As you've noticed over the last year and 2 years, we've gone up, well, as I said, we've gone up to about 50% of the non-commercial, but we've changed also the way we portray ourselves. And you've seen the all for flight. Well, we're all for flight. Us, COPA, and all the other associations that we work with, and all we do is all for flight. And that's the concept. It's this feeling that we're selling. It's not just, yes, we're going to fight for you. We're not actually fighting. We're working together and improving this and being all for flight and flying together. So it's a big turnaround of how we portray ourselves. Also, we're not just the NRA in Canada. We are there to induce some fun and bring some livelihood in our community through an airport. It's all of this has to be done through the COPA flights and everyone that's a member. So we need to sell this to the members, our family, our friends. That's why we've brought on stuff like Discover General Aviation, the program Discover GA, bring someone up, a neighbor, or journalist, anyone, and you get top-up insurance from our insurance people. And it's have someone up there with you to discover general aviation, see their house from above, and that's the way to do it. And use these battleground words. It's not fighting. It's not we're pushing. We're whatever, and we'll get them. We'll win. No, it's let's share this content and this freedom we've got. Our freedom to fly is unique in the world. Let's say we have like 4 or 5 countries: United States, Canada, Australia, New Zealand. I know of South Africa. They're also quite free, but let's share that with others while we still enjoy it and cope with that. Sorry for taking 20 minutes on this. It got me. Question about I like the comments coming up there. Yeah, videos. No, someone doesn't want our money spent on making videos. It would be nice, but I mean, we're just doing the office, right? If I compare to the OPA of 250 people, well, we can say that officially we've got 5, but doing aviation work, 2, 3. So making videos is another job, and we can use some help from anyone that's doing this out there professionally. We can use some help, but we're concentrating on aviation work and some of that stuff. And then once in a while, well, we work at doing something because we still have to maintain that professionalism, and whatever we put out there, it can't look like coming out of someone's basement. So it's got to be really professional. So I insist on that. So, another question. I did my CPL written 2 years ago, and over 2 years, and now because of COVID, there's some time went by, and the person won't be able to just go in there. And had a recommendation letter to write the exam. The question is, do I still need a recommendation letter even if it's over 2 years? And the answer for transport, yes. If someone is coming in to write a CPL examination, they still need a letter of recommendation. So I know Lauren posted in the comments a few on the side of the screen. She posted a few links to the exemptions and the extensions that were out there. So you go back in the comments and click on those things, and they're up there on what is exempted and is extended. Any news on the Tail Beacon X certification from Alan, who's online right now? No, I don't have any news. I just know I was in touch. I was talking to the people at Tail Beacon X, and they are still busy. Just sort of shut down, obviously, with COVID. They're all working from home. What they're doing is they're just validating. I know they still are validating some of the data that they're getting from the satellites on the test aircraft that we sent them. The members that raised their hand and said yes, I can put a Tail Beacon X there. So they're not. It's not going any further right now. So they're working with NAV Canada, analyzing the quality of data that they got from the Tail Beacon to the satellites. I know that. I think it's doing well. So that's good. I have tentative flight plans to fly from Calgary to Phoenix in July. I usually clear customs in Great Falls, Coates, or Del Bonita with one of the two subsequent stops for fuel. Are there now, or do you anticipate then any changes from past practices for border crossing customs and the remainder of this flight? After COVID, I don't think so. It's not anything like a terrorist activity of some type, but it will take some time. I know CBSA has changed, but this is, CBSA has changed the number of airports that you can fly into. They've reduced them a little bit. So they're not just a few, but they have reduced because of less people with CBSA. So you should go on the website, on the CBSA website. You will get that. I saw a few other questions come up in the comments, but okay, a question. I got two questions from the French presentation from yesterday. I'll just go through them, but I'll say them in a minute. I own land near Quebec City with my spouse. That person, his name is Dave, and Dave did the consultation. He did everything. He got the authorization, or actually the he got the we're not stopping you from building your airport. So he got the authorization from transport to do his private strip. Though the city of Quebec is he's got is right next to the Jean Lesage Airport, the city airport. So it's right next to it. It's actually, I think he's got to talk to Tower as he taxis on the strip. So that's one thing. But the city of Quebec said no. But transport said yes. I'm not an investor. I'm not associated with anyone. It is not a commercial project. It's just a private strip. Here's my question: up to what in lawyer fees, if available, can COPA support a private pilot who doesn't have the means that a company has to fight a city that just goes into your pockets and uses the taxpayers' money? So, and Dave was on the line last night, and the answer was that, well, first of all, it's not, we do have a war chest of money for lawyer fees and stuff like that. But these lawyer fees, I don't choose that, and it is not just my saying, it's not the staff or anyone. The up to where do we go? How much do we spend? It depends, and that's the answer. It depends on the case. Usually how this is done is a COPA member will submit a request for help, financial help, And it would take the form of a 50-50 financial implication, COPA and the person or the company or whoever. It wouldn't be just a blank check given to someone out there. So up to what do we support? It really depends. So the request comes in, and we give this to our our lawyer. The important thing for COPA, being a national association, is that this should have a national breadth. Exactly the implication of what does it mean? This should be national. It can't be a local thing. So if this is this guy, Dave, near Quebec City Airport, if there's something wrong with this, or if we have to defend him, will the result of this defense have an outcome on other jurisdictions across the country? And that's when it's important for us to defend these people. Just a local thing, if it were just something really because of Quebec City itself, it would be something we wouldn't really defend him. We could, but it wouldn't be our first reaction. So the request comes in, and we give this to our council, who gives us a recommendation, and it actually goes to the board of COPA, and it's a board decision to decide if we will go in and support these people. Up to where do we go? I said it depends. Some of the cases that may go someplace, then it's fine. If they go further, we will be there to support them. There was a case of Mascouche, it's still going with that they're moving some other place called Hawk. But Mascouche is one case where we were actually up to the appeals court, and we, with our council's recommendation, we were in appeals court, and the next step is Supreme Court. But just last week, Supreme Court refused to hear an appeal. So we won't be going to Supreme Court, but in a way, our council was saying we should be, if this goes to Supreme Court, we should be there. So COPA would have followed this to Supreme Court. The issue at hand was the province of Quebec saying the environmental law applies to aerodromes. Therefore, if the province says you can't go there, you can't put your airport there because of the environment, then the province wins. But the court said, no, actually it was decided at a lower court that it is the environmental law, provincial environmental law, does not have precedence over aeronautics. And the aeronautics is federal and cannot, therefore the province can't decide where the airport goes. So that still holds. That's fine. And the Supreme Court refused to hear an appeal for that in favor of the province of Quebec. So we would have been to support, according to our council, at least we would have looked into it. But we're not going there. It won't cost us more for our war chest, but that's how far we would go. The other question from Dave is, when will we finally clear this up of cities and towns and municipalities and all that, stopping them from having us spend to defend ourselves and having them recognize our rights of aeronautics? I think it's a day-to-day thing. We do this from the office in Ottawa, but it's a thing all members should do. Being recognized and making sure that aeronautics is known as a federal authority, and it is our duty to do that politely, without arrogance, but just showing the facts and the Supreme Court decisions that were there from 2010, making sure that our elected officials know that. If JC in the office is often tasked with these things, of someone saying, wait, there's a city that wants me to do something with my airport, whatever, we just show them the Supreme Court documents and they know about this, whether it's for a hangar, for a strip, a taxiway, or whatever. But as long as it's cleanly done, the aeronautics in the airport is cleanly done, and the hangars, and they're not of mixed use, it's strictly aeronautics, we can defend these people, and just showing this to the municipality. So it's an education, not training, but really education and showing the documents to most of the elected officials for them to stop trying to just do what they can't do directly. They'll try with the environmental law, with whatever law, like, okay, you're blocking sunlight. They come up with stupid things. So it's our job to educate them on that. And when will we be doing that? As long as there are, I'll say, people that want to have aerodromes or aeronautics in their area, we'll just keep on fighting these people. I know of one, again, near Quebec City, who's been being harassed because he put picnic tables next to his strip for pilots to write down their stuff as they landed. A picnic table means it's not aeronautic. So he got an injunction to stop the airport, and it cost him $1,000 to write back to the city saying why he had one picnic table there. So it's one of these things. And his third point, Dave, was what will happen to the aviation's image if a pilot abandons his project of a private strip that's been in the media because he can't financially support himself against the big city that's using taxpayer dollars. Obviously, the image will show that maybe we lost and we're about to lose, we could lose, and we were wrong, the city was right. Possibly it would be seen that or perceived that way, but hopefully it won't get to that, and that's where we come in. That's where COPA is, and educating the media, working with the right lawyers, and trying. If we're right, we are right, and we will be defended, and we will be. Truth will come to the top, and we will be supported by entities that know. Sorry. By entities that know we're doing the right thing, and hopefully it won't get to that. Yes, our image may be tarnished if someone loses, and other municipalities will say, oh, so the city was right. So we'll try not to get to that. And that was pretty much it. The questions that we got. Lauren, I know you're listening and you're there. If there's anything else. I'm looking at the comments on the side. Thank you for the kudos for COPA there, everyone. And next time, so I'm pretty much done with the questions. I don't see any other coming up. Next time, what we'll do is I would like this to be a little livelier, and we will probably do this through Zoom or something like that. I could present or answer a few questions, and while I'll mute everyone, and then what I do after that is just open up the video and the sound, and we can chat and have some live questions. So this would be Thursday, not next week, early the week after that. We'll hold a French session in English, whichever. When is the next session? It would be not next week, maybe late next week. I'll see how many questions come up, and if there's anything that really warrants to do another session. I know a lot of people like these sessions, but I feel it's a month. But I like to meet the members. I like to see the members. So we're going to try something different next time. I'd like to get this live with everyone online. So that's it. We will be putting this session on our Facebook page. It will be also on YouTube. I know everyone that's listening is on Facebook, but there are some members that don't have Facebook. So it will be available through YouTube. If you do know of anyone, Lauren will be sharing that, or we will be putting it some point in eFlight that it's available to watch through YouTube. So thank you. Thank you. Yes, I see comments coming in. So you can leave comments afterwards on Facebook. So thanks for dropping in, and I'm sorry to run away at least about 35 minutes there. And I appreciate the questions. Keep them coming. I don't mind even the tough questions. As you noticed, this is your association. We're doing this for you. And I hope you enjoyed this. So we'll be sending something out for probably not next week, but the week after. And we'll try and do this through Zoom. So thank you. Good night, everyone.